I'm just leaving my hotel in Scotland, headed to the airport, and I thought I'd do a quick video on the health risks associated with flying and how you can easily protect yourself. Now, to start with the metal detectors, the old ones that you could walk through, I would go through those, but the new ones that they call backscatters, I choose not to go through. Now, these are the big ones where you walk into a chamber and they close the door. Even though the TSA says that they're fine, there are a number of doctors and radiologists say that they could be doing some damage. But for me, there's not enough third-party testing and no long-term data studies to show that they're okay. And I know what radiation and electromagnetic frequencies can do to your cell wall, so I choose to avoid them whenever possible. And you can see my video on safe ways to avoid EMS for more on that. And the way you do that is by saying you'd like to opt out, and if they ask any further questions, you could just say you have electromagnetic sensitivity, but they usually don't, and they'll take you through to the back and just pat you down and check your luggage. So give yourself at least an extra 15 minutes in order to do that. But there's a bigger danger of radiation flying because you leave the Earth's atmosphere and you're no longer protected by the Earth's magnetic field. And this is a combination of what's called cosmic radiation, as well as being inside a metal box essentially with all the electronics. And to make it worse, now most planes have Wi-Fi on them, which is led many experts to say it's like flying in a microwave oven. Now, this is so bad that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, classifies airline crew members as radiation workers, which is the same as if they work in a nuclear power plant. Now, this is especially bad for pregnant women, and even worse if you're flying during a solar storm or what's called a solar particle event, because there's a higher dose of radiation in one flight than is recommended over the course of the entire pregnancy, according to the CDC. And pregnant women should also avoid flying during their first trimester. And there is a website that tells you when these solar particle events are, and I'll have that in the blog associated with this video. But even if you're not pregnant and you still want to protect yourself, there are a number of things you can do. And the first is to fly at night. And that's because 99% of the radiation comes from the sun's rays, and that's blocked by the Earth when you fly at night. Now, additionally, I take a few high-quality antioxidants, and those are resveratrol and astaxanthin. Now, these have been shown to help protect the cell wall like a kind of sunscreen from the inside out. I also take zinc and vitamin E, and these are also helpful for your immunity, so it will protect you from many of the germs that are on the flight. Now, anyone who watches my blog knows that I'm very big on earthing, whether that's touching an earthing mat or touching the earth. And even though you can't use them out on the plane, there is a technique for earthing or grounding yourself while on the plane. And what you do is take your shoe off and leave your sock on and touch the metal footrest underneath the seat in front of you. And this works since the metal frame of the aircraft is used as the conducting ground for all the components on board. Now, this is a simple grounding technique that anyone can do on a plane, and obviously it's not as good as touching the earth, but it will reduce the electrical stress on your body by keeping your static electrical voltage stable. Now, the next thing that you want to be aware of is called traveler's thrombosis. And this is something that can happen in any cramped position sitting for too long. And the thing that you want to be careful of is that a blood clot can form in your legs, and this can travel up into your lungs and can cause a pulmonary embolism. Now, traveler's thrombosis is even a medical term, and it's also known as economy class syndrome. And new clots can form for up to 30 days after any period of immobility or being cramped up like this, and most clots dissolve on their own, so there's no true incidence of how often this happens, and only about 20 cases a year are reported of pulmonary embolism from air travel. But there's a study out of New Zealand that says about 1% of travelers get this, so it is something to be aware of. Now, your protection against this is to wear loose-fitting clothing, don't cross your legs at the knee, and to hydrate well with water, and don't drink alcohol or sodas. You also want to walk through the cabin and stretch out as much as you can. And if you're traveling in first class, to sleep horizontally. The idea is to get as much circulation in your legs as you can. Now, the next thing that you want to be aware of is the germs and bacteria in the plane, which is not really a surprise, except for the level at which it's happening. The findings of a study at Auburn University revealed that disease-causing bacteria can survive for up to a week inside plane cabins, and those are on surfaces such as seat pockets, tray tables, window shades, or armrests. Now, that included bacteria from E. coli and others, and according to USA Today, the bathroom is covered with these on almost every surface. Now, the airborne bacteria is also a problem, increasing your risk of catching a cold by 100 times as opposed to not flying, according to a 2004 study in the Journal of Environmental Health Research. So what can you do about this? There's actually very simple fixes. According to USA Today, you should sanitize your seat. I pack disinfectant wipes and just wipe down the armrest, the seat, or any other surface that I'm using. Also, don't touch your eyes or touch your nose and mouth. This is how many sickness and diseases are spread. Don't go barefoot at security checkpoints. Wear or bring a pair of socks to avoid athlete's foot or other fungal infections. Now, the antioxidants I mentioned earlier will help to strengthen your immunity against that. And I also take a liposomal vitamin C and D before a flight, and on long flights, I'll take another one halfway through. And the way I get that through security is before I put them in a plastic bag, and before I put my carry-on through the x-ray machine, I take these out, hand them to the TSA agent, and tell them that this is homeopathic medicine, and then they'll just search it on their own without putting it through the x-ray machine, as I feel that the radiation could lessen the effects of that from the machine. Now, if you'd like to know what supplements I take and why, I have a full blog on all of those at theartofunity.com. Now, I'll also take a cotton swab and put it in coconut oil and rub it on the inside of my nostrils, as the coconut oil is antibacterial and it can help to prevent a cold or other sickness, and it also prevents dryness. I also don't touch my food or my face while I'm on the flight. But to prevent foodborne illnesses, as I have gotten a stomach virus after getting off a flight, what I do is create a hand sanitizer by mixing pure water in a spray bottle with about 10 or 20 drops of essential oils. I use a blend called On Guard, and I also put clove in it and some cinnamon to smell nice, and that's also a powerful antibacterial as well. Now, the best part about this sanitizer is that it is non-toxic, unlike many commercial hand sanitizers that I see on the market. And this one can be sprayed on surfaces, on your hands. I also spray it in my mouth when I have any type of itchiness in my throat, as it's all edible and nothing in here needs to be refrigerated. When I'm traveling, I also carry another couple of essential oils like lemon oil and another blend called Digest Zen. I'll put a couple of drops of lemon in my water and just drink that down in case there's any bacteria in the water. And after I eat, I'll put a couple of drops of Digest Zen in my mouth and just drink some water down in case I ingest any. Now, I'll have links for therapeutic grade essential oils that I like in the info box below or in the blog associated with this video. And I also carry peppermint, since headaches and nausea are very commonplace inside planes. You also want to be sure to cover up any open wounds before you get on a flight. Now, the next thing you want to be aware of when you're flying is severe dehydration, and that's because the air on a flight is actually drier than the desert, and this pulls water from our body faster than we can replace it, which is why most people feel terrible when they get off a flight. Now, if you add alcohol, coffee, or soda into this, you're lined up for severe dehydration, and this also causes many people to get headache and nausea on flights as well. Experts recommend drinking a pint of water for every 3 hours in the air. It's also best to avoid junk food because those are loaded with sugar and salt and other unhealthy ingredients, and those can lower your immunity as well. Now, I would highly suggest bringing your own food. Before I get on a flight, I'll often stop and grab a couple wraps at Trader Joe's or another healthy supermarket, and I'll grab some fruit, and they have great snacks and a lot of other types of to-go food as well. I don't exactly love the ingredients in all of these, but they're way better than anything you're going to get on the plane. On longer flights, I'll also take a container of protein powder and make a shake as well, and I'll bring my homemade protein bars and date balls as well. You can see my video on those. It's also important to note that your body actually craves carbs when you're tired, so you want to be aware of this when you're on long flights or you've gotten up extremely early. Now, the thing you might want to do if you don't have any food is just fast and not eat anything at all, as there are many health benefits and it can help to remove toxins in your body. Now, the last thing that I want to mention to avoid when you're flying and be aware of is a high decibel sound rate that could cause hearing loss. There was a popular science article that clocked the back of a plane at 100 decibels, which is the same as a busy nightclub, whereas the rest of the plane was between 75 and 85. And 4 hours of this, according to the article, can cause some permanent damage to your ears, and obviously you're more at risk the more you fly. This violates the limit set by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, which is 88 decibels for 4 hours. And solutions to this could be sitting in the middle or closer to the front of the plane, or use noise-reducing headsets, or pack earbuds like I do. And finally, to avoid jet lag, it's a good idea to touch the earth as soon as possible getting off the plane, or bring an earthing mat with you, as I always have one of these when I travel, and to get as much sunlight as you can. But I'll have more information about that in the blog associated with this video. And I hope you're not overwhelmed by this, because these are very simple fixes with a little bit of awareness and a little bit of prep that can help you avoid any of the dangers associated with flying, as I do it all the time and never have a problem. Now, for more videos on health and wellness associated with mind, body, and spirit, don't forget to subscribe and check out the blog at theartofunity.com. Good luck with this.